Are there any rules for making fan art of you with other VTubers slash streamers? Just don't make it weird. I love having art with my friends, so I typically encourage it. I would just ask, like, not that you can't. I prefer to not be drawn with people I don't know. So don't be like, I wish you would be friends. I've drawn you hugging. You know, like, because then I'm like, I don't know that. If it is someone I know, don't make it weird. That's really it. That's pretty much the only rule. I think it's better to just draw and to not do like a whole comic where you make up dialogue, we would say, because we're like normal people, and sometimes when people make dialogue, it's just like weird for us because then it's like, well, I wouldn't say that way, or you know what I mean? Like it just feels wrong to us. Not like bad, just not right. So that's really like, that's really it. Do you see yourself as your VTuber or as separate things? Yes, within reason. Like when I'm on stream or I'm making content, I absolutely yes. Personally. Because my character is just a representation of me. It's not some grand character I made up with a personality different from mine to play. It's a thing to physically represent me, that's it. And obviously if I do something in some lore and it's like I shot laser beams out of my hands, well, yeah, that's a whole separate thing. But like, I think even for the community, it should be pretty much one and the same because I feel like here's an example. If someone doesn't watch content of me speaking, they just follow me on Twitter and they look at art of me and they're like, I like that character. They're not going to see that as like a person. It's just a character, right? But if you watch a streamer every day and they don't have face cam, not a VTuber, just no face cam. They're a voice, they're a person. There's a person you're interacting with, right? If you throw a VTuber on the screen with that, okay, that's just a physical representation of them. It doesn't change anything about the person, right? Like everything they're doing is still from their mind, everything they're saying is from their brain, whatever. So it's them, right? If that makes sense. Obviously, it's not like literally a picture of them, but it is for all intents and purposes as far as you know them, if that makes sense. And it's their brand, which is like, you know. So I feel like it's like not weird for people to say it's not very separate when they're a streamer or they're like, you know, making content that isn't necessarily scripted. It's like off the cuff, just them talking. Because it's different from voice acting a character where it was just written to be a character and it's stuff that isn't exactly what you would say or whatever, right? It's just the keys jingling on the screen. Yeah, exactly. Typically, I find that when someone draws me, there's someone who watches me, you can tell when they draw, versus someone who just like never has. You can literally see the difference in like the prompts most of the time. But I don't think there's anything wrong with just being like, I like the character and I just want to draw the character and treat it as a character in lore as well. As long as you're not doing anything that would make the person uncomfortable, really. Is your feelings on fanfiction then? I think if you're doing fanfiction of a VTuber and you watch them, you watch videos of them, the character is like the person behind it, it's very blended, and then you write fanfiction, it is the same as writing fanfiction about any normal Flesh streamer as well. Personally, I think it's the same thing. There's just more lore and world building to kind of like go off of, but everything about that person is just a person, a normal person, you know? So if you think writing fanfics about like Pokimane is weird, then you know, it's like the same thing in my opinion. It really depends on the content though. Just because I don't like something doesn't mean I think it's like a thing you can't do necessarily, right? So if you want to write fanfics, but they're not weird, it's just some fanfics, right? It's just like a story. As long as it's not like really weird, I'm just like, fine, write it, whatever. I might just be like, yeah, I don't like that. I didn't like your story because I wouldn't say that or something like that. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to disallow that. You know what I mean? But if it's like written with the intent to be weird or like, you know, I say weird because it's vague because there's all types of weird it could be. But, you know, then that's a different story. Yeah, Bark, I've heard this too. You said, Rule 34 artists saying how uncomfortable they were about picking and drawing, like, anime designs nowadays, since there's a good chance it's a VTuber nowadays. That's so true. You have to, like, know who you're drawing, because you might accidentally draw, like, something that represents a real person, and then you just drew, like, a person compromised in a way that maybe they don't want, and then you're like, oh. There are a lot of not safe for work artists that have done that, like, accidentally. There are also ones that do it on purpose, and it's really shitty. They, like, know the person doesn't want it done, and then they do it anyway. Very few of them do that. Very few. But some do, and they're almost always, like, weird. There are also times where people just get commissions. So, like, there's a viewer that wants to see something, and they're like, can you draw this VTuber doing this thing? And the artist doesn't really know the VTuber, so since they got the commission request, they're like, oh, I guess it's fine. And then they find out later that it's not fine, and they're like, oh my fucking god. So that's also kind of horrifying for some artists. Because a lot of them don't want to do that, you know, like, that's not their intent. You know, just be respectful. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You said you feel weird about seeing not safe work of a VTuber you personally watch. It's like seeing a nude pic of a friend by accident. That's how it feels to me. Yeah, if I have, like, a friend who, I think... Oh, my cat's here. I think it can be, like, the same kind of vibe, yeah. Sometimes you'll be just scrolling on Twitter and you just see, like, I have these friends and that's the physical representation of them. Maybe I've never seen them, the person, you know, so in my mind they're just that. And then I just see, like, some crazy not safe for work art of them and I'm like, Because I don't look at it and I'm like, that's their character. I look at it and I'm like, that's my friend, you know? And I'm able to logically put it aside. Like, I can look at it and be like, okay, well, obviously that's not literally them. But in my mind, it's them, you know? So it doesn't, like, to me, it makes no difference. I don't care. So do you sometimes feel that way even with YouTubers that do that kind of content themselves? Yeah, that's fair. Though I feel like it's, like... Yeah, it could still be awkward. I mean, it's the same thing as finding out, like, a friend of yours has an OnlyFans. Right? Like, you meet someone and you know them. And you don't know what they do. You just know them. And they're very nice and everything's great. And then at some point... They're like, oh yeah, I'm an OnlyFans model. And you're like, oh really? And then it, like, you stumble upon it and you're like, oh, because sometimes it's like crazy. That can be a really awkward feeling for some people. Some people don't care. You know, it's just, that's preference. I don't think there's anything to be ashamed of, but it's fine for, like, you to, feel awkward when seeing it. As long as you don't treat that person, oh my god. Really? Really? As long as you don't treat that person like shit. Let's unstick ourselves there. Oh my god. Wait, since when did GEEGA have arms? What do you mean? What? What is the wording of that question?